Hello everybody and welcome back to the British Pokemon League Show. I am your host Matt Starr. We are here, it is week number 6 and we are on to the itty bitty nitty gritty of the season now. We're on that downward slope towards playoffs, the business end of the season as we like to say here. There's like, what, 5 matches left of the season. We're already over the halfway point of season number 4. Very excited for the next couple of weeks of matches. It's going to be very intense. Of course, the free agent trade window is now over. We are going to take a quick little look at them trades in just a hot second. But before we do that, let's take a look at the league table going into week number 6. So after winning the very big grudge match against the Miami Heat last week, Inglorious Surfers find themselves at the top of the league, cemented their position there with that 5-0 record, still unbeaten, but have now at least dropped a game. Welsh Warriors and Miami Heat now both on the same record, with Miami Heat having that just slight advantage in game difference. Meanwhile, the Bully Boys and ShadowKings both sit there on 3-2 and sort of just above the sort of mid-table pack, find themselves in the sort of top half. Then down below you've got 4 teams on 2 and 3. The South Croydon Saurs, Colossals, Long Island Gummies and Tendo Melmetals all on to that 2 and 3 record. The Melmetals of course losing out last week to the Space City PC, who got their first win of the season. And I know me and Will have been very happy to have got that under his in the bag, so very exciting stuff. Of course, there is a little bit of news to sort of go over as well. You'll notice the Swindon Rookadies are sat there in the 11th spot. We did mention a couple of weeks ago that Dracos unfortunately had to take a short break from the league, and in the meantime Mr. Jürgen Hop was taking the reins. Unfortunately, the Hop has had to travel away again. He's disappeared off to Madagascar or something. Who knows what that French madhead's doing now. But we would like to give a huge British Pokemon League welcome to the man himself, Mr. Jay Jingles, aka the coach of Toronto 6. So very excited to have Jay with us. You may of course know Jay as the host of the MGU All-Star Draft League server and also part of the World Pokemon League sort of admin team as well. So very excited to have Jay and very thankful for him to sort of jump in at this halfway point. It's a very difficult point of the season when he's got a 1-4 record to contend with. So he's got a lot to do from there, but he's a very strong player, so I've heard, so it'll be exciting to see what we do. But let's take a look at those trades then that we got made last week during the free agents window then. So as you can see from the bottom there, South Croydon Saurs have indeed traded away the Aegislash to the Welsh Warriors, with Bronzor going the other way, but you might see a little bit further up that he straight away traded Bronze out for the Dubblade. So interesting stuff there from Chris. And also trading away the Hitmonlee, and more surprisingly the Moltres Galar has gone the journey. So it brings back that Mudstale there that he had back in season 2. So interesting stuff there. The Bully Boys themselves have dropped Raikou, Mesprit and Samurott and picked up Tapu Lele, Diggersby and Pincushion. So Diggersby finds its way back to the Bully Boys for the first time since season number 1. Next up, we have got Frostmoth, Sandslash, and Shedinja. They all depart the Colossals, with Bibarel, Alchemy, and Lanoon Galar going their way. Some very interesting picks there. Bibarel, definitely not something you would expect. We have seen Lanoon Galar picked up in the past as well as Alchemy as well, so exciting stuff there. As we go further up, Thievul, Vileplume, and Inteleon departed the Space City PC, with Lurantis, Bisharp and Gliscor going the other way. Some very good pickups there for me, so really strengthening that squad as you go to the second half of the season. And of course, Porugly and Machoke and Inglorious Surfers and Miami Heat have been dropped to the free agency pool, with Hitmonlee being picked up after it was dropped by Crizzle and his South Croydon Saurs, and Granbull being picked up by the Miami Heat. Then we've also got 2 trades for the ShadowKings. Melmetal and Aromatisse have dropped to free agency, and he's picked up Tornadus, Incarnate and Beartick. Of course, we've seen Tornadus in the league quite a few times, and Beartick was on the ShadowKings team last season, so exciting to see those back. And as you'll see there, Jay, as he's taken on that position, and it's not his team, he was allowed to make a couple of changes to his team more than everyone else was. So pretty much that whole team has been ripped out, started again, with only the Marowak and the Meowstic staying. So Darkrai, Kingdra, Scizor, Shaman, Togetic, Golisopod, Ryo, Torracat, Linoom all dropped to free agency, with Ashfree, Rapid Strike, Indeedee Female, Hitmontop, Gallade, Hatterene, Nidoking, Copperada, Shiinotic and Pidgeot being picked up by Jay. So he's put together a very strong lineup there. It's very exciting to see Hitmontop back in the league. So it's, he's put together a very, very, very strong team in that regard. So it's going to be very exciting to see what Jay can pull out of that squad. And hopefully he can start things off with a win, early doors. But let's take a look at the schedule. Kicking us off this week, Miami Heat are, of course, kicking us off once again, taking on the South Croydon Saurs. These two played each other last season, I believe, with Crizzle taking the win in that one. And that was their first time meeting. I know Crizzle was very, very excited to sort of take on that. Of course, I was season 1 champion, so that will be a very, very exciting tie. Then next up is the Tendo Melmetals taking on ShadowKings and Tendo Melmetals, looking to try and get it to winning ways after dropping that match to Space EPC last week. Dogsy, of course, hoping to get a little bit of winning run, good sort of, continue consistency going in his league form after getting that win in the Big Dog Derby last week. Then next up is the Bulu Boys and the Long Island Goomies. Probably our most frequent matchup between myself and Silly. We have played each other an awful lot of times. So it's always a fun one, me and Silly play. So do look forward to that one. Then we have got the Battle of the Daves. It is Dr. Dave and his Criminal Colossals taking on the Big Dog Dave in Newcastle Thunderous. So that is going to be interesting to see how that one goes. Who gets to keep the Dave name? Then we have got the Welsh Warriors taking on Inglorious Surfers. Matrix will be looking to build upon that win last week. And sort of cement that second place. Be hoping that Latvia and his Miami Heat drop a game and he can move up a little bit and hand Aaron his first loss of the season. Matrix is looking very, very strong, so he's going to be a formidable opponent for Aaron and his Surface. So we will see how that one goes. And rounding out this week's action, we've got Meme in his Space City PC taking on the newcomers to the British Pokemon League, Toronto 6. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, by the way. I wasn't sure if the I and the X was Roman numerals or it was meant to be just 6, just kind of like written edgy. So I do apologise if I've completely butchered that. But yeah, it is 6. Alright, thank you, Meme. Honestly, I was sat here before the show having just a complete meltdown. I was like, oh my god, if I screw this up, Jay's never going to forgive me. Anyway, guys, I'm going to stop blabbering. And let's have a look at our first game of the week. It is, of course, South Croydon Saurs taking on the Miami Heat. With only the one change to speak of from during the mid-season break, of course, has picked up the Granbull in place of Machoke. Granbull does have that intimidate ability, so it's a nice little feather in Latvian's cap. It's the team has got quite a lot of special defense, so I think having that Granbull there just sort of the defense side of the team is a little bit weaker than the special side, so I think it's a very good pickup for him, with it being quite a low tier as well. So it's a solid pickup for Latvia, and he's been playing really well. Aaron was the first to hand him a loss. And he's our season 1 champion for a reason. We always say this, you've got to think that the Articuno Goliath is going to be coming. Has been a mainstay in this team thus far this season. Getting those competitive boosts, and both sides of the speed control, in Trick Room and Tailwind, is really, really useful thing for Latvian to have. And Typhlosion as well could be very, very interesting bring here. We've seen him running that Scarf Eruption and cause all kinds of mayhem. So it could be an interesting bring there. And of course, do not watch, do not sleep on that Lipad. We've seen a few times this thing just bullies opponents if you let it sort of run wild with its prankster ability. So very, very scary stuff there. Over on Chris's side, wholesale changes to the South Croydon Saurs, who said the Moltres Galar has gone, Muck has gone, the Aegislash has gone, complete, just, brand new team essentially. So Chris will be looking, he's not made, by his own admittance, he's not made the best start to season 4, but he'll be looking to try and change that around in the second half and try and get back to winning ways, and start moving up the table with that Harlucha. So good with that unburden ability. It's going to pair really well with something like the Tapu Bulu with like a Grassy Seed. This thing has pretty strong physical attack, but it's also a half decent support one as well. I believe gets coaching, so paired next to that Tapu Bulu, the slacking, anything physical attacking is going to be really, really strong. And of course, the Comfey pairs up with so many different things on this team. The Comfey is honestly the MVP of Crizzle's team, in my opinion. It is so strong. Obviously, it did previously pair up with the Moltres Galar, But also, as we saw last week, is really good next to the Gudra. You know, Proctor weakness policy, and Gudra just absolutely just wrecked house. Very, very excited to see Slacking back in the league. You know, we saw it last season on Latvian / Niels' team. You know, if you can get that truant ability off that thing, it is an absolute monster. You know, it can be really, really hard to deal with. So, it's going to be really, really exciting to see whether Chris can get some use out of that Slacking. And, you know, try and get some kills with it and help him lead. Hopefully, helps lead him to some glory. But anyway, guys, I'm going to stop the blabbering. Let's get into this one. I want to give a quick shout out to Ted from the Championship Division for recording this game and a few of the other matches this past week. Really, really big help to me, and I do really appreciate it, Ted, so thank you. But let's get into this one. It is the South Croydon Saurs taking on the Miami Heat. As you can see there on Chris's side, got the Comfort Bulu, Milotic, the Gudra, the Mudsdale, and of course Harlucha, which he is leading the Bulu and Harlucha. We know our Latvian leading with the Gengar and the Liepard. You expect that to be Mega Gengar. He's got the Articuno Galar, the Urshifu, Granbull, and Primarina in the back. So there you go, the Unburden already procced on that Harlucha, gives it the defense buff as well. I would expect to see, you know, maybe a fake out from that Liepard early doors. Try and put a stop to something. And I said Gengar, you would think is going to Mega there. Is the Mega from Gengar? Probably going to go for Sludge Bomb with Bulu's going to protect fake out. It does go into that Harlucha indeed. And Sludge Bomb is blocked by that protect then. So a pretty uneventful turn one, you might say. Not a lot happening there, but you know, I think it's good information for both sides. Charm is going to come out and that Liepard's going to drop the attack, but there's the Tailwind. High Horseman comes out from the Bulu, and there goes the Gengar is taken out early doors. And that is it Life or Bulu as well? Looks to be taking a little bit of damage from that hit, but the grassy terrain is going to of course give him some of the HP back now. In comes the Galar Articuno. Now this thing has been solid for Latvian thus far this season. You know, people keep giving it competitive boosts, which really doesn't help Lat's opponents. But yeah, it is so strong. It's a really strong special attacker, and you know, so having both sides of speed controls really well. The Quick Guard comes out, blocks the charm. It's really smart stuff there from Chris. There's a Wood Hammer into the Galar. Going to get some really big damage off there. Does get damage from the recoil, and Tailwind is matched on that being side. Try and give him some of that speed control back. Liepard's still at full HP. You know, that thing is going to be a menace until Chris is able to deal with it. Strong start from Chris does have the Mon advantage early doors because Harlucha's attack is dropped, but it's looking to be more of a support heavy Harlucha. This one, you know, Tailwind, Quick Guard going to come out again, going to fully just put a stop to that Liepard. Freezing Glare is going to take out the Harlucha though from the Galactic. Woodhammer again is going to get rid of the Galactic, looks like gets the revenge kill, and all of a sudden there's a 3v2 top with Bulu really putting in the work, and Harlucha it's done what it needs to do, and now it's you know, it's dead, but it's been pretty good for him. In comes the Lat's brand new pickup in the Granbull with the Intims. It's going to drop the attack on that tapping Bulu. We expect the Comfort to come out with the floral healing here, just try and get Bulu back up to full HP. Keep it kicking around that little bit longer. Not 100% sure what Granbull is to do here, but you know, it is a strong one. Mudsdale is going to switch in. There's Draining Kiss with Comfort is going to take half damage to the Liepard. The Taunt comes out, but there is the Mental Herb on the Comfort, and there is the Super Fang on the Granbull. So that's going to also activate the stamina ability on that Mudsdale. So that is a little bit terrifying for Latvian, but that Super Fang move is really strong. It does half damage to your opponent, so that's a good move choice there from Latvian. Is still 1-1 advantage to Grizzles, 3v2. We just saw how much the Draining Kiss did to that Liepard, so that Liepard's in a very scary position now. The Mudsdale does tend to run heavy slam. There's a charm, so there's a great read there from Chris. Gets the ally switch in. Superfang is also going to activate it again. There's the body press. Gets the critical hit and reveals the Choppleberry on the Liepard. It's not going to save the Liepard, and Liepard goes down to that. So it's now 1v3, and this is looking like it's Crizzle's game all wrapped up with a bow on top and a kiss. Really smart stuff there from Crizzle, just a great reads. Floral Healing is going to get that Mudsdale back into full HP. Play Rough does unfortunately miss from the Granbull. There's a heavy slam. Granbull just about hanging on there. the 4% HP, but this one's all but done, and Crizzle going to take the lead early on in this game. Draining Kiss gets the job done, and Comfy just such an asset in this team. We're going to switch straight into game 2. No pauses allowed, and it's Bulu and Harlucha leading the line again, and it's the same lead as well for Latvian, so Latvian just trusting in that lead. There is the Mega Protect again from the Bulu, fake out into the Harlucha, and Sludge Bomb into the Bulu again then. Pretty much a mirror of that game 1 there into game 2. It's not being trying to think of a different way to play. Comes out with the taunt, so stops that tailwind going up. That's smart up there. And there's a Sludge Bomb. Great reads there from that. Gets rid of the Bulu. And that's a great switch up in play from Latvian. I really thought for a second there we were just watching game 1 again, but Latvian switches it up and gets rid of that Bulu early. Does it was such a problem for him in game 1. And the Harlucha now is in a little bit of a kerfuffle now. Can't tailwind, can't quick guard. And Mudstill has switched in. Mudstill a little bit of a clipper here. He's not got too much over the Mega Gengar, but can at least maybe try and get rid of that Lipad. It's a bit of a menace on Latvian's side. Players just trying to work each other out. Yeah, I think Chris was just hoping that the Latvian would take the bait again, and he doesn't. There's the acrobatics from the Harlucha, so there is something on there. High horsepower into that Galar Arcuna. A great read there from Latvian. Sees the high horsepower coming into the Mega Gengar, switches out, and takes no damage from that. And the charm going off as well from the Lipad into the Mudstill is huge. And in comes Granville to just drop the attack even further, and Comfy going to switch in, just resets that attack. Acrobatics comes out from the Harlucha again, and Latvian does get the tailwind up, so speed control is in Latvian's favour now. Taunt has ended, at least on Harlucha though, so can maybe go for a tailwind of his own. It pretty much is a sort of role reversal. Game 1 Latvian this time with the advantage. And there in comes the Mudstill again, so the coach gets a really smart stuff there from Chris, but the freezing glare is going to take out Harlucha, and there's the play rough into the Mudstill. It's going to get that stamina boost, and the grassy terrain restoring some of that HP as well, so the coaching really coming in clutch there for Chris, and it's all up to Comfy and Mudstill now in the 2v4, but if anything's going to be able to do it, it's that Mudstill. Got to be watchful of that Galar Arcuna, needs to get rid of that more than anything. As Comfy can just keep floral healing until the cows come home. Keep that Mudstill alive as long as possible, try and extend this game and, give Chris the 2-0 as Latvian. Going to be able to take them both out here and get himself back on level pegging. Yes, Aaron, I did get your email. Thank you very much. The ally switch comes out from the Comfy. It's a good reason. It takes a little bit of damage on freezing glare and the play rough. It's going to take out the Comfy though. Rock Slide comes out and doesn't quite do enough to that Galar Arcuna, even with the attack boost. It's a very, very bulky Galar Arcuna, and this one looks to be done and dusted. Chris going to drop this game 2, and Latvian going to find himself in yet another game 3. Recover from the Galar Arcuna. There's a super fan to just drop that HP down a little bit further. Out comes the Rock Slide. Galar Arcuna manages to live again. Tailwind is going to now end for the side of Latvian in his Miami Heat, but this one looks to be tied up. Galar Arcuna going to have the speed advantage over the Mudstill, regardless. Of course, Mudstill not known for its special defense. Granville already putting in the work for Latvian and his Miami Heat. And once again, that Galar Akuno is it's such an asset for him. It does everything. If it's not getting air slash flinches, it's hitting freezing glares, or he's getting some sort of speed control up, or it's always doing something. It never sort of comes in and for no reason. He's always got a plan in mind with it. So big shout out to Lat. One or both of them doing a really big thunk here. Chris trying to weigh up his options to try and get himself back in the game, but it's a 1v4 with that Mud still on very low HP. Really psyching each other out here. Someone is just thinking real hard about what they want to do. I think at this point it's very difficult to see Chris finding a way back into this one, but it's not entirely out of the realms of possibility if he can get the KO on the Galar Akuno, and if he gets the KO on both of them actually here, there's definitely a world where this comes back in. I actually think Latvian might have disconnected there. Is what's causing it to take a little bit of time. There is the freezing glare. Does manage to just about hang on, but the Granville is going to go first. Mudsdale goes down, and it is 1-1. Latvian ties us up at 1 apiece. If we go into a game 3, like I said, Latvian's second game 3 in a week. He really did take a nap, didn't he? And to game number 3 we go then. So he does lead the same way. Latvian not switching things up. And Krizzle is going to switch things up though. Brings in the Horlucha and Mudstale this time. Seeing that Sludge Bomb was such a threat. He's already figured out his strat. So wasn't going to go for that against a smash up there from Kriz, changing things up. Yeah, you can see in the chat there Latvian leaving and joining a few times. So I think Lat was having a few internet issues during this game. So I do apologise if there is any breaks in play. Expect the Gengar to probably go on the Mega here. He might choose to switch it out though. We saw him do that in game 1. He switches into the Galar Akuno expecting that high horsepower. Quick guy going to come out and block that taunt and smash up there from Grizz and smash up there from Latvian. So no one taking any damage and just there's really sort of big mind games going on with the switch outs and the quick guards. Horlucha can sort of freely just keep hitting that and stopping the Liepard from doing what it wants to do. Quick guard comes out again. He's going to block that taunt from the Liepard. Freezing Glare though is going to take out the Horlucha. It doesn't stand a chance there. High horsepower. It's a big amount of damage to Liepard, but Latvian does have the 1 advantage. As in comes Comfy then, so keeping that Tapu Bulu for that late game, it would seem, unless he's decided to switch it up with something else in the back. Again, Galar Akuno just proving to be such a threat. If he can keep it alive for long enough, it can just sit there and keep buffing up and healing that much still. So Chris will be feeling a bit quietly confident here despite going on down. That Liepard's on pretty low HP. Once he's dealt with that, then that's one sort of annoyance out of the way with, and then it's just a case of taking care of the bird. Not sure if Latvian is disconnected again at this point. Number 3. Very exciting stuff. As I said earlier on, Chris looking to trying to build up some consistency in that form. Has not had the greatest of starts to season 4. Meanwhile, Latvian, who's back for the first time since sort of the early part of season 3, has come out flying out the gates. In comes the Gramble, then switches and gets the Intim onto the Mudsteel. Out comes the Draining Kiss, a little bit of damage away. There's the Freezing Glare. It's going to give the Stamina. Rockslide going to miss that Granbull and not get too much damage away to that Galarracuna thanks to the Intim. So no coaching available now. Now the Hawlucha has gone down. So Chris may look to sort of switch out that Mudsteel for the time being. You're going to want that Mudsteel able to do as much as it can. Rockslide really just not touching that Galarracuna a whole lot. Comes the Milotic then, so he has switched up with the one he has in the back. Then Milotic comes in, takes the player off and the Freezing Glare and activates the Sonic Berry, which is going to give that speed boost. There's the heavy slam into the Granbull, gets some big damage away. So no Tapu Bulu this time. And that's the first time we've seen Milotic this season with Chris. So interesting, it makes its debut on week number 6. That speed boost is going to be very, very, very handy for Chris. You know, it's really tanked both of those hits in the Latvian, doubling into that slot, trying to get rid of that Comfey support. And Chris keeps alive now. In comes said Comfey, and there is a recover there on the Milotic. Out comes the Freezing Glare again. Superfan goes in that Comfey, so Latvian not doubling in this time. That's just going to give Chris a chance to, you know, he could either recover again or he can go for floral healing on the Milotic and just keep it, you know, nice and healthy, and it's going to be moving first, so it's going to get some damage off before anything happens for Latvian side. Very good item choice there for Crizzle. Switches into the Mega Gengar then, which is not Mega yet. Draining Kiss going to give Comfey some of that HP back, and the Ice Beam is going to get rid of the Galarracuna, so he finally takes it down and it ties us up at 3v3. So Gengar then ready to put in the work, and in comes Lipard. This is where it could get a bit dicey for Crizzle. Lipard, of course, with that fake out. We've already seen Charm, Taunt on there as well. And, you know, Latvian's probably going to want to steer away from the Charm. For the time being, you do not want to activate that competitive on Milotic and make it stronger than it already is. Does. Maybe he's just that much of a madman. I think Latvian had disconnected again at this point. He's really struggling with that internet. I think Mega Gengar gets that very, very strong special attack, so is poised to, you know, really be in a good position here. Not really too much that can sort of do offensive damage to it on the other side, so now that Galarracuna is gone. Might be Latvian's last bastion of hope. It's 3v3 though, so it's not obvious. In comes the Mudsteel, then Gengar obviously does go for a Mega Fake Out into that Milotic slot, and there's the Shadow Ball, so the Mudsteel going to tank that here from the Shadow Ball, so good switch out there, you know, just preserving that Comfey for a bit longer. And Milotic still just somehow hanging on under 50% HP. It just feels like it's been stuck there for like so many times. My god, I'm very, very low HP. Shadow Ball again. Mudsteel just about going to hang on. There is the Muddy War. It does miss the Lipard. It's going to hit the Mega Gengar and gets the Accuracy Drop, but there's the Snarl. He's going to activate that competitive though. Going to only slightly drop the special attack and drop the special attack on the Mudsteel and activate Stamina. High Horsepower is going to get rid of that Mega Gengar, and that could be a little bit of a misplay on that side. There's now a 3v2. In comes the Granbull with the Intimidator. It's going to activate competitive again. Now Milotic fully buffed up, but both both Mons on either side on such low HP. There's a recovery from the Milotic though. Snarl gonna get rid of that Mudstale. Give this an even more special attack to that Milotic. Is Granbull gonna be able to do enough? No, it just about hangs on. So it is now Comfey Milotic versus the world. Of course, Comfey does have access to that Draining Kiss, which is going to be able to take out that Lipard. What an end to this game. It's been so back and forth. There is the Ice Beam from the Milotic, gets rid of the Granbull. Lipard still just the last one standing, but Latvian going to drop this one. He loses his second match in a row. There's the Draining Kiss to get the job done. Krizzle gets himself another win on the board, and Latvian drops to 4-2 then. So it's the first time in a long while we've seen Latvian lose 2 matches in a row. Not something you're used to seeing with Latvian in his Miami Heat, but you know, it was very exciting to see that Granbull make its debut, and Kriz played it so well. You know, that end game in game 3 was really top notch, and that's more of the Krizzle that we're used to seeing. So like I said, GG's to both players. Really nice to see Krizzle get that, you know, another win under his belt, and you know, get a bit of consecutive wins going. And I'm sure Latvian will bounce back. It is Latvian 71. He doesn't go down that easy. On to our game 2 then of the week, and it is the Tendo Melmetals taking on the ShadowKings of Dogsy. And so, of course, with it being the Melmetals' first season in the TBPL, this is the first meeting between the two. And Kirky is starting to get a little bit of form under his belt. You know, made a bit of an iffy start to life in the British Pokemon League, but now finds himself, you know, at the 2 and 3 record. So it is still at a negative, but is slowly but surely climbing the table, trying to make that fight for playoffs. You know, and is starting to look much stronger. Is starting to find the rhythm with the team. You know, that Mega Lucario and Latios, and you know, Ambipom especially has been just so strong. You know, there's quite a few dark horses on this team as well. You know, we saw last week that Barbracle, you know, with the Shell Smash, really put in the work against Meme in his Space City PC. So, you know, do not count anything out here. Of course, got the Arcanine as well to get those Intims, which could be useful if the likes of the Electivire and Arctovish are going to come on Dogsy's side. But you would expect Dogsy to try and get that Trick Room. Well, Trick Room has definitely been his friend, you know, in the form of Bruxish. Aromatisse has gone the journey, so Bruxish is the only Trick Room setter now. But try and get the Trick Room up and bring in the camera up to Mega and just start wrecking house. Of course, there is the possibility of the electric duo of the Coco and Electivire. You know, you see Coco hitting the discharges, activating that motor drive, and allowing Electivire to really start going very fast, very quickly. You know, one thing I'm very surprised with Dogsy's team, we've not seen that Ditto come out just yet. You know, despite there's been quite a few opportunities to use it, this may be where we see it sort of coming to effect. If it is in that team of 6, you know, we know Kirky likes to get the beat up away on that Lucario, activate the Justified, and then go for the Mega. So that may be the sort of opportunity that Dogsy needs. Bring in the Ditto and really put in the work. There's a lot of different ways that this could play out, but you know, we've seen Kirky, you know, really switching things up. You know, you're very rarely seeing the sort of same thing week by week. The only sort of constant has been that Ambipom and the double hit work that it puts in. You know, it was on the Miami Heat team last season, and we didn't really see it. You know, it really get to flex its muscles or its big wiggly hands, as you could say. But Kirky really getting the very best out of it. You know, and I think. You know, this is going to be a very close battle, I would think. But I'm going to stop my blabbering. Let's get into this one. It is the Tendo Melmetals taking on Dogsy's ShadowKings. Bit of a screen for that. Dogsy has got the Bruxish and the Electivire with the Camerupt, Abomasnow, Grookey, and Umbreon in the back. You know, Kirky leading the line with the Ambipom. Lucario has got the Kecleon, Latios, Arcanine, and the Whimsicott in the back then. So Kecleon does come to the team again. You know, we've seen Kirky use that once before, but it's not to be sort of, you know, turn your nose up at that. This gets a protein ability. Just every move is stepped out. Arcanine comes in, gets the Intim off on the Electivire. Electivire going for that follow me is going to take that double hit from Ambipom, while Bruxish going to get the Trick Room up, and that Trick Room animation on this showdown thing is honestly unbelievable. Feels like I'm in a disco right now. Trick Room does go up that, and it said that is exactly where Dogsy wants to be, to try and get in that Camerupt. Bit of a screen freeze going on there, so do apologise. Should go back to the waterfall, going to get some damage off the Arcanine. There's a cross chop, Ambipom going to live that, and Bruxish going to take a double hit, of Ambipom getting some big hits off, and Arcanine going to flinch from that waterfall too, so it's a good play early doors. Protect going to come out from that Ambipom. Waterfall going to get rid of that Arcanine, then Darkest Lariat going to get blocked by that Protect. And in comes the Kecleon then, so we mentioned Kecleon there, it's not to be shaken at, you know, it's a strong Pokemon. That protein ability can really come in handy, you know, if you can make a prediction on a move, you might be getting from your opponent the next turn. It's not so much the damage output you're going to get, but Kecleon can then in turn resist a certain move. You know, just gives you that little bit of extra sort of defense. 2 turns left to Trick Room, and Dogsy still not pulling the trigger on switching out to the camera. Electivire is going to go down to that Aquajet though. There's the waterfall, going to get rid of that Ambipom as a 3v2, so Dogsy making a very strong start, but only 1 turn left of Trick Room then. In comes a Abomasnow then, so no Camerupt. Abomasnow going to get the snow warning up, which is going to be doing a bit of chip damage away each turn, and Kirky brings in that Lucario, and we've seen Lucario has been, you know, probably the strongest on this team for Kirky alongside that Latios. It's been very, very good. The Mega Form with that adaptability ability is very scary. You know, I faced it down last season against Silly, and it is a very strong Pokemon. A bit of a screen freeze going on there. We're all good. Back to normal. Lucario goes to the Mega. There's the Fire Punch from the Kecleon, so going to change still to Fire type, and Abomasnow goes down. It is slowing that Abomasnow, and the Waterfall not going to do much. Lucario, no flinch this time. Drain Punch going to get Lucario on the HP back. Bruxish goes down, and all of a sudden it is 1v2 Camerupt with it all to do, and now it's out a Trick Room, so just Dogsy not able to get the positioning right there to take down Kirky with the Camerupt. And you know, we've already seen the water move on that Kecleon, and Camerupt with its 4 times weakness to water, you would not expect it to live that. It's going to be slow protecting come out from that Kecleon. Expecting the Eruption. Earthquake from the Lucario, is it going to do enough? No, Camerupt does manage to tank it. Eruption not going to be doing as much, but does still take out the Mega Lucario though. It is a 1v1 Kecleon versus Camerupt. What is this? Is this Gen 3? Is this Hoenn? There's the air power onto the Kecleon, not quite enough. Aquatail is going to take out the Camerupt though. And Kirky takes this game number 1 then, and we switch straight into game number 2. So a very strong start there for Kirky. Again, you know, that Mega Lucario putting in the work, but you know, just once again, not something you'd expect. The Kecleon ended up being the sort of the game winners. Arcanine and Ambipom lead the line this time. Dogsy sticks with the Electivire and Bruxish. You would expect to see the Trick Room going up again. There's the crunch into the Electivire, going to drop those defenses, and double hit going to take out that Electivire. Then Ambipom getting the early kills. Bruxish is going to get that Trick Room up though, as expected. And now is a 3v4. Is he going to switch into the Mega Camerupt this time? Because Mega Camerupt not going to be able to do an awful lot to that Arcanine. Does have Earth power though, so might be able to threaten it just a little bit. That disco background is genuinely messing with me, but I absolutely love it. Camerupt goes to Mega. There's Protect from the Ambipom. Air power does go on the Arcanine. Gets the critical hits. It's going to get rid of the Arcanine. Waterfall going to get blocked by that Protect. You'd expect maybe that was going for the Arcanine slot just to finish it off, but no such luck. The Kecleon, as we have already seen, is sort of spec'd slower than that Camerupt, so it is going to be moving fast under Trick Room. So Dogsy in a little bit of a spot here, maybe running an ally switch on that Bruxish, which may be the saving. There is the ally switch, so Bruxish going to take that Aquatail. Of course, an Eruption now, not going to do as much to Kecleon, but does get rid of the Ambipom. Is now a 2v3. Has turned this game right around as in comes the Latios with 2 turns left of Trick Room to go. Dogsy really flipping this game on its head. There's the Aquatail though from Kecleon. Camera going to go down, so Waterfall into the Kecleon. It's not going to do anything. There's the Dragon Pulse into Bruxish. Bruxish taking a big amount of damage from that, and now it's Thwacky is the last mon on Dogsy's side, and this is a bit of a difficult one here. You think Kecleon's going to go for a Protect here, block that Grassy Glide. Dogsy could also go for a Fake out here at the Latios, try and get some damage away. Flinch that Latios and allow Bruxish to do something with just 1 turn of Trick Room, but he's got to act fast. That Kecleon's been an absolute nuisance for Dogsy, and Kirky again, has got the absolute best out of the sort of niche Pokemon on his team. So full credit to Kirky there. There is the Protect as we expected. It is a double Protector reading. That fake out, it goes straight for the Grassy Glide into the Latios slot, then an Ice Fang from the Bruxish, but now Trick Room is over. Kecleon back to normal type, thanks. That Protect is going to take the Grassy Glide. Kecleon manages to live there. There's the Energy Ball from the Latios. Going to get rid of the Bruxish now. Thwacky with all do. There's the Fire Punch on Kecleon. Thwacky does manage to tank that hit. Eviolite really doing its business there, but this one is all but over, and Kirky gets a 2-0 win over Dogsy and the ShadowKings. They both move to the 3-3 record. Thwacky is at least going to get rid of Kecleon, but that's going to do it. Thwacky goes down to Latios, and Kirky back to winning ways then. So, really smart stuff there that Kecleon needed to say more. It was so good for Kirky there as a real asset. And Dogsy just not able to play around it, but still played very. Both games, you got to admit, were super close. It was not a lot in them, to be fair. That could have went either way. So GG's to both players. Really exciting stuff to see them both playing well. And Kirky slowly but surely climbing that table, as we mentioned. But on to our third game of the week. It is the Bulu Boys taking on the Long Island Groomies, as we mentioned earlier. This is probably our most played matchup in the British Pokemon League. Me and Silly have faced off so many times. Of course, did beat me last time we played in Season 3 playoffs. And I'm sure he's not going to ever let me live that one down. But yeah, it's always fun playing Silly. And he's got a really exciting team this time around. Didn't make any trades during the free agency window. But has got a lot of different things going on this team. You've got Dual Weathers with the Politoed, and got the Poliwrath there with the Swift Swim, and it's also got Torkoal and Venusaur. Torkoal with the Sunbeam with the Chlorophyll ability to make full advantage of that, and then has even got the an electric duo like Dogsy's with the Thunderous Therian and Manectric. Thunderous Therian in its own right is a really strong one. Has got a very high special attack and is a big threat. And very much in Silly style, has got two mons that you wouldn't normally expect to see in a team, Gumshoes and Minyo, but as he's proven, as he does every season with a Pokemon. This season it's Minyo, this thing with the Shell Smash and White-haired Rectangles, that's normal. Minyo has just been putting in the work. It's been very scary for a lot of people to deal with, so definitely something I have to keep my eye on. Meanwhile, on my side, did decide to drop the Raikou, picking up Tapu Lele to get that terrain, and also brought back Diggersby. I had to bring back the bunny. It messes with Aaron, so of course I had to bring back the bunny. It gives him nightmares. And Pincurchin as well. Needed that that lightning rod on the team, so very happy I was able to pick that up. Been getting a lot of good use out of the Entei. Paired next to something like Jirachi with Follow Me, or even Blastoise, support Blastoise could be good here. Next to something like the Entei. Mega Banette as well is also a good asset on this team. Could see it to try and we've seen Mega Banette using Destiny Bond before. Just to get either the Paras, try and slow Venusaur or the Poliwrath down, could be really useful thing to try out. We've seen a few debuts in recent weeks as well. We saw Phalanx coming last week against Mr. Hop and the Swindon Rookadies. But could be a very interesting match, as it always is, between myself and Silly and his Long Island Goomies. But without further ado, let's get into this one. It's the Bulu Boys taking on the Long Island Goomies, and it is Jirachi and Lele leading the line with Pincurchin, Diggersby, Blastoise, Entei in the back. Silly kicking things off with Sableye and Gumshoes. Has got the Venu, Torkoal, Electabuzz, and the Tornadus Incarnate in the back then. So no Manectric this time round, and instead no Electabuzz. Tapu Lele comes back the first time we've seen it since season 2. Oh, sorry, season 3. Last season it was on the Newcastle Machine. Protect comes out from that Gumshoes. Sunny Day, so setting up that Sun Vino coming in. The Moonblast is going to take Sableye down to its sash. Expanding Force going to block there, protect him, of course. Sableye not going to take any damage from that. It is immune to psychic attacks. But those expanding forces are going to be doing some big damage. So seeing that the damage output into the likes of that Vino is going to be very strong. So good stuff there on the Broody Boys side. Lele already putting in the work, but what has Silly got planned from that Gumshoes? Something is in the line with that Gumshoes. It's not just sat out there as Cannon Fodder's Thunderous is going to switch in. Takes that Moonblast, only just hanging on there with the Expanding Force. He's going to get rid of it, take Gumshoes down to 25% HP. And there's the last resort to tie things up. It gets the Orko on Tapu Lele. And it's 3v3. Told you this Gumshoes had something in its locker. And in switches the Venusaur and Entei then on the side of the Booty Boys then. Jirachi, we've seen how much damage that Expanding Force can do. Extreme Speed is under sight terrain, so it's going to do anything. Sleep Powder comes out, but there is a Lumberry on Jirachi who's going to allow it to wake up. Expanding Force is going to get the double KO on Venu and Gumshoes, and all of a sudden it is a 1v3. Jirachi really putting in the work in this game one, and Sableye with a 1% HP is not going to be able to do anything. Booty Boys are going to take the lead in this game one then. It's always the same whenever me and Silly play. It's over and done in a matter of moments. We're on 10 number 4. Tech comes out from that Jirachi, then fake out into that Entei. Silly making a similar mistake, and Sableye goes down. It was moving on to game number 2 then. So Booty Boys kicking things off the same way the Jirachi and Lele, and Silly switching things up with the Torkoal and Thunderous then. So Torkoal going to set up the sun for itself, and in comes the Thunderous. So what has Thunderous got in its locker then? And we've seen it pair really well with the Manectric in recent weeks. So Booty Boy's going to have to try and take that out, and of course the Torkoal as well. Torkoal, if it's able to get an eruption off here, Jirachi is not going to stand a chance. We could be about to see a Weather Ball from that Thunderous there. There is the Weather Ball, and Jirachi not standing a chance there. Goes straight down to that. Out comes the Psychic from the Lele. Gets some big hits on the Torkoal and Heat Wave. The Lele just about going to hang on from that Heat Wave. So Silly, seeing that he's probably going to take a hit from there, doesn't chance the eruption. Does manage to hit the Heat Wave though. And in comes the Blastoise then on the side of the Booty Boys. And they're taking a really big chunk of damage there. Silly making a much quicker start out the blocks from that game number 1. Protect comes out with the Thunderous. Protect from the Torkoal as well. Ally Switch coming out. There's the Terrain Pulse and Blastoise, and no Mega just yet though from the side of the Booty Boys. Terrain Pulse revealed on that Blastoise. Silly maybe expecting a fake out and not reading the Psychic Terrain there, going for the double protect, or maybe just going to try and read some information. It has revealed Ally Switch on that Lele as well, most importantly, so that's always good information for Silly. Torkoal guns which are in, comes the Venusaur, then Discharge. It's going to get rid of the Lele, and Blastoise just about hang on a stun, going for that Mega. There's the Terrain Pulse, goes into the Thunderous slot instead, not reading that the Venu is switching in. Not going to do an awful lot to Thunderous. Still no Mega from that Blastoise as Entei comes in as the last Pokemon for the Booty Boy side. Silly really charging out the blocks in this game too. It's an absolute sort of role reversal of game 1. Thunderous really putting in that work. There is the Blastoise Mega eventually. Comes out with the Follow Me. Discharge is not going to matter though. Blastoise is going to go down, and Entei takes a big hit and gets parried as well. Sleep Powder is not going to work thanks to that Pros, but the Stone Edge misses on the Thunderous, and that looks to be game. Then Entei not only slowed, but is taking a big hit from that Discharge. Thunderous just getting the ace here on the side of Silly and his Goomies. It's going to tie us up at 1 apiece then. So as always, it goes to a game 3 every time. Guarantee if me and Silly are playing, it's not going to be a 2-0. One more Discharge should do the job. There it is. Is gonna paralyze the Venu as well, but Entei gonna go down. Does get the 4-0, and Silly takes game 2. We move on to a game number 3 then, a deciding game between the Booty Boys and the Long Island Goomies. Here we go, and then as Diggersby is leading the line with Pincurchin this time, and Silly not changing things up, comes out with the Thunderous and the Torkoal then, so, and it is Balloon on that Pincurchin, so good switch and play there from the Booty Boys, and sees the Discharge really doing the work, and brings out 2 mons that aren't going to be affected by the Discharge. Of course, we have seen Weather Ball on that Thunderous, and you know how high that thing's special attack is, so it's going to be able to get a big hit and something here. Let's see Torkoal go for the eruption. Pincurchin is very slow, so Torkoal going to be going faster than it. There's a protect from the Thunderers. Stone Edge gonna get blocked by that protect. Air power into that Pincurchin. Big mistake there from Silly. And the Pincurchin goes to the acupressure, so it's gonna give the accuracy boost to the Diggersby. So I mean, it is randomized, but not taking any chances with those Stone Edges. Are we going to see another acupressure here for the Diggersby? Just right above them. Does get the Stone Edge, takes out the Thunderer, so it looks to be choice scarf for Diggersby, and Silly going for the air power again. A huge mistake there. Gets his special attack boost this time with the Diggersby, so it's not really going to see much benefit from that. But Broody Boys taking the advantage in this one. Venusaur going to switch in as expected. You know, gonna make use of that sun while it's still up. You know, can go for sleep powers here and try and, you know, just limit the damage that Diggersby is doing. This Pincurchin switches out. In comes the Jirachi. Then Stone Edge from that Diggersby gets a big hit on Torkoal. Sleep powder is going to put that Diggersby to sleep, and Eruption comes out. Jirachi just about hanging on from that. You know, even though Torkoal had taken a big hit, Eruption was always going to do a big amount of damage. Diggersby goes to sleep. Gonna switch out. In comes the Lele. Then Sleep Powder goes onto the Venus. It's going to put the Sleep. It's going to activate the Lungberry again as the Expanding Force. Going to get rid of both Torkoal and Venus, and all of a sudden it's now a 1v4. What an absolute topsy-turvy match. You know, we saw it went one way in game 1, it went one way in game 2, and game 3 has been all Broody Boys as Gumshoes is the final hope for the Long Island Goomies. Not going to be able to do anything here against the sort of psychic duo of the Jirachi and Lele. One Moonblast and an Expanding Force should be enough to get the job done on Gumshoes. There's the Moonblast, there's the Expanding Force, and the Broody Boys take this one 2-1. And that was probably one of the most scuffed games I have ever played. It was just sort of full of mistakes on both sides. This is what happens when you play games really late on a night. You know, it's this is where the cookie crumbles. But yeah, GG to my guy Silly. I said always fun playing against that guy, and yeah, it was exciting to get to use Diggersby. I do love that thing. Also, you leave that thing shiny alone. It's my boy. It's my bunny rabbit. Can't be bullying it. Dave, you've arrived just in time, as our next match is, of course, the Newcastle Thunderers taking on the Krimic Colossals. It is the battle of the Daves. Dr. Dave and his Krimic Colossals, and Big Dog Dave taking on with his Newcastle Thunderers. Of course, Dr. Dave making a few changes to his lineup. Has brought on the Alchemy, Bibarel, and Lenoon Galar for Shedinja, Frostmoth, and a Lowland Sandslash. So changing things up. He's told me he's got a plan with that Lenoon Galar, Bibarel, and Alchemy. I can only imagine it's got something to do with Bibarel's Moody ability and Lenoon Galar with that simple. And also Alchemy with a Decorate. So I'm very, very excited to see that plan come into action. We will see whether he does, pull the trigger on that. I want to be very, very excited. So one thing you gotta give Dr. Dave a lot of credit for is, while it does seem sort of one-track minded, he's always been able to pull off the unexpected. This thing, the likes of the Butterfree as well have been so good for him. And of course, Dracovish has been a huge asset to this team. Just hits everything with Fish's Strand. And whereas most people will just sort of come out swinging with the Dracovish, Dr. Dave's sort of been playing things a little bit more cautiously. Will let his sort of first 2 months do the work, do bits of chip damage away with blizzards and stuff, and then just brings in the Vish and just sweeps everything. So, and on the side, Big Dog Dave, you've got to admit, he's been playing really well, but just results just not going his way. I think he'd, by his own admittance, would be surprised to see him 1-4, despite the fact he's played so well in some of those losses. It just hasn't quite worked out for him. We'll forget the Miami Heat game. We won't mention that one. But yeah, this is such a strong it's a very Dave team, as we've mentioned plenty of times before. The Incineroar, Ferrothorn, are very much mainstays of a Newcastle Thunderers team, and he does get the very best out of them. And as well as Ferrothorn, that Ferrothorn is just his bread and butter. Probably one of the best, if not the best, Ferrothorn players I know. So it's I think that's definitely something that Dr. Dave's got to be wary of. You know, Ferrophone, if it's able to get those iron defenses up, there's such a sort of fighting type weakness on that team that body presses are really gonna hurt. And, you know, it's not going to be at all bothered by Vicious Wrens or anything like that. And there's not really a whole lot of sort of fire type threat on that Crimmet Colossal's team. So, you know, he's got to have some plan in mind for that Ferrophone, either try and put it to sleep or, you know, try and get a lucky freeze. Of course, also got to be careful that Nitty, you know, is the kill leader on this Newcastle Thunderers team. If this thing hits you in the expanding force, it is going to hurt under that terrain. And, you know, of course, as well, Jump Bluff. Dave has sleep of his own if he does choose to bring it. I would think he's probably going to leave it at home just with the amount of ice type threat on this Crimmet Colossal's team. Maybe not a chance that the same with Landorus Therian, you know, you maybe want to be keeping that thing on the bench for this week. But anyway, guys, let's get into this one. It is the Newcastle Thunderers taking on the Crimmet Colossals then. The footage is a little bit laggy here to start with, but it does level out, I do promise. So Dr. Dave leading the line with the Dragovish, and Butterfree has got the Alchemy is in the back with the Arctozol, the Nugs, and Linium Galar. And in the back for Dr. Dave is the Landorus Therian, Jump of Indeedee Mail, and Ferrophone, along with Rotom Wash. So, you know, very much a similar sort of six that we've seen in previous weeks for Dave, but, you know, he's been getting louder. There's the Vicious Wren, there's a passable berry, so Incin going to stay alive. With Sleep Powder going to come out from that Butterfree, and down goes Incin to sleep. Meanwhile, Ferrophone is going to get the Iron defense up, so already a little bit scary here for Dr. Dave. You know, there's one thing you do not want to let this Ferrophone do, is get those defenses up, and now Dracovish is even more screwed after that Intim drop as well. Is in a little bit of kerfuffle. Is Adrenaline Orb Dracovish has got the speed boost from that Intim, so good item choosing there from Dr. Dave. Vanillish is going to switch in, gets that hail up, so we don't chip down as a Rotom Wash switches in the other side. It reads Dave like a book there, and the red card's going to switch out the Dracovish. Leech Seed is unfortunately going to miss for the Ferrophone, but Rotom Wash just tanking that hit, and out goes the Dracovish. He does love a red card on that Rotom Wash. You know, has really been putting the, you know, if it switches in the right one, it can really throw off your opponent, so red card's always a useful item to have around. Butterfree, of course, can go for those sleep powers, does go for the Protect the Sign. Blizzard going to come out, not going to do too much away, but no freezes. Thunderbolt doesn't get blocked by the Butterfree. There's the Body Press is going to get rid of the Vanillish, and that was what you had to be scared of. Vanillish goes down, and Dave takes the mod advantage in this game, number one then. As in comes Arctozol, so he's really, Dr. Dave's really got to get a hit off here onto the Ferrophone, because it's going to really start putting in the work, and you would expect a Thunderbolt here going to be able to do enough to the Butterfree to take it out. You know, Butterfree is, you know, pretty frail, so Dave maybe going to go and try and put that Ferrophone to sleep so he can start chipping away at it. Of course, is use your Iron Bars. He's going to switch in the Dracovish then, so it's the double Fossil Dew with Freeze Dry, though. He's going to get rid of that Rotom Wash with Body Rest, gets rid of the Arctozol, gets the Revenge Kill, and Ferrophone is just absolutely mincing this Crimmet Colossus team as Jump Bluff now switches in, and as Butterfree and Dracovish versus the world. And this Ferrophone's just been able to sit pretty since his Iron Defense in turn number one, so as we said, you know, Dave knows how to use this Ferrophone very well. Sleep Powder going to miss from the Jump Bluff though. There's a Tailwind from the Butterfree. Going to allow the Vish to go first, but there's a Vicious Wren, Iron Barbs, and Rocky Helmet going to do a bit of chip damage with a Dracovish. Leech Seed does now finally land a Ferrophone. Going to be getting some of that HP back despite the hail damage that is going off. So also, I noticed I kept saying that you could put the Ferrophone to sleep. You cannot put the Ferrophone to sleep with Sleep Powder, so just ignore me. I'm just chatting on my backside. Is he going to try and go for the Sleep Powder again, knowing that the Tailwind's up? There's the Pollen Puff. Not very much damage to Jump Off. Vicious Wren coming out against a Vish, just taking another chunk of damage there from the, you know, from the Rocky Helmet and Barbs. There's another Leech Seed. So Ferrophone getting even more HP back this time. Dracovish going to just about hang on from that Leech Seed damage. Are we going to see maybe Protect here from Ferrophone, just allow it to take Vish and Butterfree out nice and freely? You know, the Jump Bluff going to be able to comfortably take out Butterfree with an Acrobatics here. So Dave looks to have taken this game on. There is a Protect as we expected. Pollen Puff. It's going to heal up that Dracovish. Just massive there from Dr. Dave, keeping the Vish hanging around a little bit longer. Sleep Powder's going to miss again though from the Jump Bluff, just not going Dr. Dave's way with the RNG with this one. But now it's all up to Dracovish in the 1v3. You know, if it's going to hit a Vicious Rend again, it's potentially going to just take itself out here without taking on the Ferrophone. So Ferrophone just standing firm. There's the Vicious Rend. There's the Iron Barbs. There's the Rocky Helmet. Sleep Powder does finally land. And Dave goes for an Iron Defense again, just for good measure. But he's going to take this game number 1 in pretty confident fashion as we switch into game number 2. The sides will switch in just a second. Dr. Dave leading now with Alchemy and Dracovic then, and Big Dog Dave with the jump off, and indeed he may also jump off with that Psychic Seed. It's going to allow it to get the most out of acrobatics and get a special defense buff as well for good measure. This could get quite scary here for Dr. Dave. You know, the Indeedee Mail is going to be able to get some big hits in with those expanding forces. Lanier and Galag on the switch in for that Vish has a Mystical Fire. Doesn't quite take out the jump bluff thanks to that, and the Sleep Powder does go off. There is the Dazzling Gleam from the Indeedee Mail. So maybe not the best switch in there for Dr. Dave, you know, switching in another Fairy type weakness, but Lanoon gonna take a nap for his troubles. Alchemy not too phased by the Dazzling Gleam there. Stay asleep this time. There's the Mystical Fire, the Smart Stuff there from Dr. Dave. Gonna drop the special attack on that Indeedee Mail. It's back with his own Mystical Fires. Alchemy does get its special attack dropped as well. So it's just sort of a war of attrition at the minute. Just special attack drops across the board. Indeedee Mail switching in comes the Int, and then going to drop the attacks on both sides. Mystical Fire again. Jump Bluff just not at all bothered. And it's going to put the Alchemy asleep as well. So just both Muns on Dr. Dave's side taking a nap now. Loon still yet to wake up from its 10-1 sleep. Intin's in a very, very strong position here. The Loon does indeed wake up though. Gets the knockoff on the jump off, not going to quite do enough acrobatics. Going to get rid of that Lanoon though. And there's the Flare Blitz and the Alchemy. Alchemy goes down as well. And all of a sudden it is a 2v4. And Insin this time putting in the work. And in comes Arctazalt and Dracovish then. So, you know, already revealed the Passo Berry on that Incineroar. So potentially Insin going to be able to live the Vicious Rend from the Vicious. Sleep Powder though is going to put it to sleep. It's going to land all the Sleep Powders this game. Freeze Dry is going to get rid of that Jump Bluff. But Drain Punch going to put Insin back up to full HP. There's a very big chunk of damage to Arctazalt. And now is Indeedee Mail going to switch back in? It is Indeedee. I'm so sorry. And this is not looking very good for Dr. Dave now. Dracovish is asleep. Arctazalt, you know, with no hail, just not going to be moving very quickly. And it's took a big chunk of damage from that Drain Punch. There's the Expanding Force, going to get rid of that Arctazalt, gets a big chunk of damage to the Vish. Vish going to stay asleep, and Insin going for the bulk up, just for good measure, just to make sure it lives a Vicious Rend if Vish is to wake up. But I think this one is done and dusted. Dave gets his first win since week number 2. And going to move to the 2-4 record. So Smart Stuff then wins the battle of the Daves, more importantly. The best Dave of the British Pokemon League. There's Expanding Force, gets the job done, gets rid of Dracovish. And the Thunderous take that one to GG's. 2 both players on that one. I mean, Dave played that, you know, pretty much flawlessly. I said the Ferrophone was just such an issue. Dr. Dave in that game 1, he just didn't really have anything for it. I mean, maybe Alchemy with those Mystical Fires would have been the sort of answer to that in that game 1, but didn't bring in that team of 4, and unfortunately the Ice duo as well as Vish not able to get the job done. And Dr. Dave also moves to that 2-4 record. On to our 5th game of the week then, and it is the Welsh Warriors taking on the Inglorious Evers. So Aaron off the back of a huge first versus second win over the Miami Heat. And meanwhile, Welsh Warriors getting the Battle of Wales last week, moving themselves to that 4-1 record and within touching distance of second place. So just slowly but surely simmering away and climbing that table. And Aaron is looking very much unstoppable right now. Has made it Just the one change during free agency. Both sides only making the one change. Warriors picking up Aegislash from the South Croydon Saurs. Meanwhile, the Surfers also picking Hitmonlee from the South Croydon Saurs. Of course, Hitmonlee was dropped to free agency. So very, very big pickup there for Aaron and the Surfers. Not really able to get much out of Perugly, so it's very understandable, and gets a very strong fake out user in return. You know, Hitmonlee with a very strong physical attack. It gives him that sort of fighting type prowess that I think he needed. The range duo here, I think, you know, the Pelipper with Mega Swampert here is going to be so strong against Matrix. He's going to have to try and play around that with the Klefki, but of course, Swampert with those ground attacks is going to be able to do so much damage in return, so he's really going to play around that. You know, you may look at sort of item choices in the likes of the Sugarberry Air Balloon just to try and counteract that, you know, just stop that Swampert from running the house. You know, if you can hit it with a Grass Move, then you've at least got part of the way there. And you know, we know the likes of the Metagross or Mega Metagross if he brings it has got you know, Thunder Punch, or you know, something like the Togedemaru is going to be useful to take out that Pelipper, so he's got to try and play it smart in that regard. You know, Aaron may look to sort of go down the trickery route as well with Bronzong. You know, we know Matrix loves to run Choscarf Heat Run, so that's maybe the sort of the route he goes. But you know, it's that Rangio especially is going to be on the forefront of Matrix's mind. He's got to try and get past those, and then he's going to be looking sitting pretty. So you might say, of course, we know Heat Run runs Solar Beam as well, so that may be the answer to the Mega Swampert. I would very much think that Rillaboom stays at home for this one for Aaron. It's not really got a lot of attacking. Of course, does get higher horsepower, I know that much, but doesn't really have a lot of attacking threat outside of it. And of course, you don't want to leave something that is fodder for that Heat Run. You know, it is very, very strong. It's Heat Run, very high special attack, so it's going to get some big damage in if Aaron lets it. But let's get into this one then. It is the Welsh Warriors taking on the Inglorious Surfers, and Aaron with Pelipper, Swampert, Turtonator, Pikachu, and Venomoth and Hitmonlee. And Matrix with the Klefki and Fortress to lead the line has got the Aegislash, Empoleon, Heat Run, and the Aggron in the back then. So it looks to be that Mega Aggrons come this time for the Warriors. And Aaron, you know, looking to try and get a fake out off early, stop that Klefki from doing what it wants to do. And Swampert, you know, gives him that option to just switch Pelipper in. You know, I mean, Matrix can of course try and read that if he can, but you know, it gives Aaron that option. He's got something there to threaten Matrix on one side, you know, if he doesn't try to go for the fake out or a switch in. As Klefki could be running, you know, Dazzling Gleam. He's going to do some big hits to Hitmonlee. Not very, you know, not so much known for its defensive prowess as Hitmonlee, but Matrix got to be really careful around this Mega Swampert then. See a fake out here from just to stop, because you know a Klefki does like to run a switcheroo. We've seen it a lot of times out of Matrix. Switcheroos an Iron Ball, or you know, just or a Lightning Tail onto his opposition, and it just really wreaks havoc with the opposition's team. You know, if he's able to get that speed control, that's what's so important for that Steel Mono type team. There is a Mega from the Swampert. Switcheroo does come out, so not only reveals the item on the Hitmonlee Citrus Berry, but gives it the Iron Balls. Are going to make as well. High jump kick at the Fortress. Fortress just about hanging on, and sets up the Sunny Day then. So interesting stuff there. You know, Klefki you would have expected to be the weather setter there, but Fortress doing the work and setting up the weather for Matrix, you know, to bring in that Heat Run. You know, maybe expecting the Pelipper to switch in that turn. Jump kick not only did it land, but it did a big chunk of damage to that Fortress. There's the play rough. Hitmonlee just about hanging on there. Brick in the Klefki. Aaron maybe expecting the screens there. High jump kick though is going to get rid of the Fortress, and it is a 1-1 advantage to Aaron and his Inglorious Surface then. Yeah, Aaron, it might be in Aaron's best interest here, just allow Hitmonlee to go down. This as in comes the Aggron then for Matrix. So it looks to be the Mega on Matrix's side. In comes Pelipper, resets the weather. Is Matrix going to read that and go for the weather on the Klefki? Earthquake says no weather. It's going to get rid of the Klefki. It's going to activate Aggron instead. Aggron just about hanging on, not going for the Mega that time. It goes for the solar beam then with the power herbs. Are going to allow it to go in one turn. Not really doing all that much to Mega Swampert. Swampert just tanking that. And now Heatran and Aggron in a world of trouble. That Swampert's going to be going uber fast. It's not going to matter too much. The Heatran's even got the Scarf now. You know, just one Earthquake here will probably do the job. And Aaron coming out swinging in this game one. Not messing around where that Heatran is concerned. There's the Icy Wind. It's going to miss both the Aggron and the Heatran. Heatran does indeed go first though with the Air Power. Liquidation though, going to get rid of the Heatran. Air Power not doing enough to Swampert. Is now all up to Aggron then. But the Pelipper isn't going to be able to hit the Icy Wind this time. Missing both Mons there. It's so huge, but does indeed reveal that the Pelipper is Scarf. You know, it went well before the Swampert and the Heatran. Icy Wind does land this time, and Aaron going to take the lead from this game number one. Then into game two we go. How is Matrix going to adjust to that game one? He brings in the Edge Slash and Fortress, so no Cliffkey leading the line this time. And Aaron switching them as well, keeps the Hitmonlee but brings out Terminate then, so it's very brave stuff from Aaron then, knowing that Heatran's running around with Flash Fire, so got to be very careful here, you know. Fortress is 4 times weak to fire, but you know, if Matrix can see that coming, may choose to bring in that Heatran. And it's going to just tank that hit with Flash Fire. Fake out does go to Fortress. Edge Slash comes out, gets the Head Smash. It's going to get rid of the Terminate. Gets the Oko. Going to take a big chunk of recall damage for its troubles, but gets the kill more importantly. And now Aaron is down a Mon. Very good start there from Matrix. He reveals the Head Smash. Very, very strong with an Edge Slash as in comes this Mega Swampert then. Swampert to go for the Earthquake against Ice Slash. Going to go for the King's Shield, just block any damage. It did get skipped there, but Fortress did take a bit of damage there, and Hitmonlee taking a chunk as well. Klefki going to switch in for Matrix. In comes the Pelipper, activate that switch on is the Klefki and go for the Sun. It does it, resets the weather there is the Earthquake. Takes out the Edge. Klefki only just hanging on. Does bring it down to tie us up at 3v3. More importantly, Klefki has got the weather up, and in comes the Heatran. As the Heatran's in a very, very strong position here. Can go for a Solar Beam on that Swampert. It's going to get a huge chunk of damage. The Sun going to allow that Solar Beam to go off in one time. Klefki goes for the switcheroo. Is going to give himself that Choice Scarf. There's a Solar Beam, gets the critical hit on the Swampert, and Swampert goes down. Pelipper going to reset the weather with the Rain Dance, and now it is all up to Hitmonlee and Pelipper in the 2v3 then. So Pelipper has now lost his Choice Scarf, so it's not going to be anywhere near as fast. Heatran also locked into that Solar Beam. In comes the Fortress then. Fake out, gonna take out the Klefki, gets a critical hit, Baton. There's the Hydro Pump of the Fortress, also gets a critical hits left, right, and centre, but all of a sudden in one turn this is flipped right on its head. And now it's Hitmonlee and Pelipper versus Heatran. And you know, Matrix has been from an position control, just all of a sudden to, you know, Aaron is looking very likely to take this one in a 2-0 fashion. So well played from Aaron. You know, I think that Scarf ended up benefiting him in the end. You know, being switched off him onto that Klefki, the fake out doing the work to the Klefki. You know, Aaron already getting use out of that Hitmonlee. It's such a strong support Pokemon, you know, you do not blame him at all for picking that up. Matrix got to try and take out one of these ones. Both have type effectiveness over it, and the rain is up. More importantly, if Aaron is able to land a Hydro Pump, it is going to be curtains for this Heatran. hasn't got in its locker to try and do something. He's maybe got to go for the Hitmonlee and just hope that a Hydro Pump and pull up and misses, give him any kind of fighting chance. Gets a Flamethrower on the Hitmonlee. Rain is up though, Hydro Pump lands, down goes the Heatran, and Aaron Guts gets back to winning 2-0, gets another win under his belt, and still remains unbeaten in the British Pokemon League Season 4. GG's to both players. It was always going to be difficult for Matrix to get past that Mega Swampert, and the pellet would be able to just sort of reset the weather. But he played that really well. It was very close in that game to tying us up. So full credit to Matrix. He does drop a game, but you've got to admit he's been really doing well with that Steel Monotype team and deserves a lot of credit for doing so. But Aaron as well deserves a whole lot of credit for once again going on a crazy unbeaten run that stretches back all the way to last season. Nobody able to stop him just yet, so we'll see if that changes or if he just keeps on winning. But on to our final game of the week. It is the Space City PC taking on the new boys, the Toronto 6, coached by Jay Jingle. So Jay with a whole new lineup that we've got to sort of just unpack. And there's a very, very familiar duo of the British Pokemon League in that lineup. Can you see it? A certain Mr. Marshall that we were just talking about used to have this duo. It is, of course, the Indeedee female and Hatterini duo. Of course, was a lot more lethal back in Season 1 when Hatterene was able to go for those G-Maxes, get those G-Max smites off and get those confusion. But this duo is very, very strong nonetheless. It's going to be able to mess around with terrain. If he's able to make that Indeedee female slow, going to be able to reset Tapu Fini's terrain, not allow the Mitty terrain to go up. But has also got the hit on top in terms of it. The terrain just get changed to allow it, give him his own fake out, which is a good answer. Mienshao hit on top also with that quick guard and wide guard as well. To be able to put a stop to Tapu Fini and those muddy waters. Mienshao with his rock slides, Charizard with a heat wave. There's a lot of options there with him on top. Did keep the Meowstic and Marowak from the Rookidee side. Meowstic, probably one of, if not the best Prankstamons in the game. He gets such an array of status moves. If he's able to use it outside of that terrain, if he does bring the Indeedee female, of course, Meowstic is going to be quite a sort of annoyance for me. He's already had a problem with one Prankstamon this season. I don't think he wants to have it again. Nidoking as well is a pick I really, really like. This thing with Sheer Force is not to be trifled with. It is a very, very strong Pokemon. And of course, you see the return of Copper Rider to the British Pokemon League as well. This thing's move pool is just nuts. Very, very nuts. It's not going to stand a chance against that Charizard if it comes, or Mienshao, but definitely want to watch out for me. Making a few changes of his own, of course, brings in the Bisharp with that Defiant ability. This thing is a super strong Pokemon. If you activate as Defiant, then fool, you're the fool. There's also picked up Gliscor and Lurantis. Lurantis with that Contrary ability can be super useful. Get likes of the moves like Superpower and things. Instead of dropping an attack and defense, is going to buff them instead. And a few interesting things to do with Gliscor as well. If he's able to set up sand in some way, this thing with Sandvale and Bright Powder, you will just not hit this thing. So it'll be very exciting to see the new trio on that Space City PC team, and hopefully we can start seeing Tapu Fini, Charizard, Latias and Co putting in the work. Got a very big win over the Melmetals last week, so we'll be looking to capitalise on that and get another win under his belt. But guys, without further ado, let's get into our final game of the week. This is a replay game, so I was doing my very best to keep up with the action on screen. But let's get into this one. It is the Toronto 6 take on the Space City PC then. And Space City PC, meme leading with the Spiritomb and the Finny, and Jay kicking it over the Indeedee and Hatterini duo. Then this looks very, very familiar. Finny going for the protects. Following because on the Indeedee there's he's now going to drop the special attack on Hatterini and Indeedee. Whitehead going to return this to Hatterini. Indeedee's got the red card, so out comes Spiritomb and Hatterini going to get the trick him up. Laios going for the Mega straight off the bat, doesn't really come out, so no Charizard in that lineup from him. Citrus Berry going to give Finny some of his HP back and goes for the Calm Mind. Then there's a Mystical Fire and Indeedee just to drop that special attack a little bit more, and he's going to switch out for Division. Income Nidoking doesn't leave, is going to get rid of that Laios though, and the Muddy Water is going to get rid of the Nidoking, so Nidoking switches in just to die, and now Copper Rider switches in. Trick Room is up. And in comes their debut of Lurantis Expanded Force. Not quite doing with the Heat Crash though. Is going to get rid of Lurantis. It goes straight down. Muddy Water's going to get rid of Hatterene. And Finny just taking names. It's just all or nothing this game. It's 2v2. Indeedee comes in now. Helping hand into the Copper Rider to protect. Keeping that Finny there. Player rough is going to miss into Spiritomb. That could be huge. and Spiritomb going to get the Will-O-Wisp up on that Copper Ride, and then so it's going to half its attack, which could be huge. Follow Me goes out from the Indeedee. He's not going to block that Muddy Water, but Indeedee does just about hang on. And the Hex, great reads there from Jay. The Power Whip going to get rid of Finny. It's all up to Spiritomb. Then in a 1v2, it's about Jay about to make a winning start to life in the British Pokemon League. There's a Snarl going to get rid of the Indeedee. And now it is all up to Copper Raja. Play rough. Just about Spiritomb just about hang on. He's going to activate the Agua Berry to go back up to half HP. Hex going to hit into the Copper Raja, and Meme takes game number 1 then. Clutch stuff there from the Spiritomb and brings it back, and he's going to lead this time with the Rantis and Spiritomb. This time Jay with the Urshifu Rapid Strike, and Indeedee female Urshifu with that Psychic Seed. Switch straight back into Copper Raja. The Expanding Force cost Spiritomb not going to be bothered by that. Neither is Rantis. Superpower. A little bit of hit with Indeedee, but it's going to activate that Contrary, but the red card's going to mean it switches out. In goes the Will-O-Wisp. Of course, the Finny switches in, so Copper Raja not affected by Will-O-Wisp. Finny goes to the Calm Mind. There's a Snarl into Meowstic and Copper Raja as well. Meowstic going to be able to really put some work in and play rough. Spiritomb just about hangs on. Agua Berry going to give it some HP back. There's to protect from the Finny Swagger into that Copper Raja. Then going to allow Copper Raja to get a huge attack boost. The Snarl's really not affecting the Copper Raja, and the Power Whip does indeed get protected. Ally Switch comes out. There's another Swagger. It's looking very, very scary. Meowstic going to go down in that Muddy Water. Is Copper Raja going to get him out? Play rough because that Spiritomb almost lost my words there. As Indeedee switches in. Is a 3v3, and in comes the Rantis again. There's the Muddy Water. Hoping for an accuracy drop. Expanding Force not really doing much in the way of damage, but Superpower from the Rantis. Going to get rid of the Copper Raja and give it the attack and defense buff. It's looking very, very scary here for Jays. In comes the Urshifu. Follow Me. Comes out the Lurantis, just about hangs on. There's a Dazzling Gleam though, gets rid of it Indeedee and Urshifu. And in the turn number 6, Meme takes this one 2-0 and gets a second win on the bounce. The new boy Jay unfortunately not able to start things off with a win and goes down to 2-0 on Meme, getting the wins under his belt and looking more like the Meme that we're used to that got 4th place last season. But let's see what that does to the league table going into week number 7 then. So Aaron and his Inglorious Self is sitting pretty at the top at 6-0 with a plus 11 game difference. Who is going to be able to put a stop to him this season? Is anyone going to be able to, or is he just going to keep on winning? That is the question on everyone's mind. Down below, those Miami Heat Bully Boys and the Welsh Warriors all in the 4 and 2. The Bully Boys moving up to 3rd place with that win over the Long Island Goomies. And Crizzle finds himself at a high point this season. You know, was in the relegation zone just a couple of weeks ago, and now finds himself 5th place, just a game behind those top 3. So looking very, very strong. Along with the Melmetals and ShadowKings. You know, again, Keki, another one with 0 and 2. After the first couple of weeks, but has really turned it around and now finds himself at an evens record along with Dogsy and his ShadowKings. And the Newcastle Thunderous then with that win over Dr. Dave climb out of the relegation zone and move up to 8th. But Silly, unfortunately, with a second loss in a week, drops down to 9th, as well as Dr. Dave and his Crim Colossus find themselves back in that relegation zone. Meme and Space City PC do now at least jump off the bottom of the table and are now starting to climb a little bit, but Jay not making the ideal start, and the Toronto 6 find themselves 1-5 with a whole lot of work to do. But all the same, has got a very, very strong team, and there is still, as Crizzle says in chat, plenty of Pokemon left to play. But guys, that is going to do it for this week's action of the British Pokemon League. You can watch the rerun of this show on Wednesday night, and you will see in the same night week 6 of the British Pokemon League Championship show, hosted by our very own Aaron at Team Marshall. So do look forward to that. You can find that here on this very Twitch channel, twitch.tv/British Pokemon League. But I've been your host, Matt Starr. I will see you all next Monday at the same time, the same place. Goodbye and good night. Mwah.